We now continue with more of the Mark Milton Show with The Smash on 590 The Fan and 590thefan.com.
Milty and the Smash.
All right, you're listening to the Mark Milton Show with The Smash and Solly, broadcasting from the Miller Furniture Studios, presented by STLTaxLawyer.com. Remember, the choice of a lawyer is an important decision, should not be based solely on advertising. Smash, I don't know if you've seen lately, but interest rates continue to stay very low.
Yes,
and you can
in the twos,
mortgages,
correct?
Right, in the twos. So I'm actually thinking about, we just refinanced about a year and a half ago, but I'm actually thinking about doing it again. Actually, it's been almost 2 years. Yeah, doing it again, because right now I think our rate's like 3.25%.
Yeah.
So I reached out to my buddy Andy Newbold. Andy Newbold, First Bank Mortgage.
He would know.
He's got the wheels moving. Going to see what we can do.
Yeah.
You can do the same thing. You can contact Andy. You can text or call him at 314-660-2223. See what you might be able to get as far as savings on your mortgage. I mean, whether it be a new house also or a refinance. And from a tax standpoint, I always encourage people, hey, if you've got equity in your house, but you've got other debts, whether it be IRS debt or consumer debt, whatever the case may be, it's a great idea to refinance, maybe do a cash out and pay off some of that debt, because that debt, the interest you're paying, which is typically going to be way higher than 2 or 3%, the interest is not deductible. Whereas if you itemize on your taxes, you're going to be able to deduct your mortgage interest. And so it's a double win. Plus, you're probably going to get a much lower monthly payment. So be sure to check out Andy Newbold, First Bank Mortgage. You can also email him at andy.newbold@fbol.com. Smash, you want to talk baseball? Is that
I'm
right?
just wondering what you think, and Solly also, because Solly works the circuit and everything as far as sports in town is concerned. But you're a sports type dude. Mike Shildt, I think, is the manager's last name for the St. Louis Cardinals. The Cards are not having that good a season right now, but the season, of course, is not over. What do you think? Is there a gurgling that is happening that is saying Mike Shildt needs to be replaced?
I don't obviously know what's going on inside the clubhouse, but I will say I think there's got to be some real concern by upper management and the ownership, because you brought in Olin Arenado, with the hope that hey, we're going to sign him to a long-term deal. This guy wants to be here. He wants to stay. And you're starting to hear some chirps about him not being happy. And if the Cardinals don't go out and make a move before the deadline, they're not really poised to be able to overcome the current deficit. I mean, the Brewers keep winning. The Cardinals keep losing. I mean, this gap is widening. And I think, if something doesn't change, could they be sellers at the deadline? I mean, if you think about it, Arenado would be somebody. I mean, they don't have him locked up. I feel like everyone it was a very nice, it was like a honeymoon phase.
It's not locked up.
There was a honeymoon phase when he got here. Oh, he wants to be a Cardinal. He's going to sign a long-term deal. Well, that never happened. Solly, did it?
Well, he doesn't need to sign a long-term deal because he already has a long-term deal. The key is he can opt out of his current deal, and he would have to decide both in terms of environment and money, is the grass greener on the other side. And from all indications I've seen or heard, and we haven't been in the clubhouse yet for full disclosure, but by all indications, I haven't seen any sign that he's a legitimate threat to opt out.
So you think he's safe?
Yeah, I think it's pretty safe, unless there's something going on behind the scenes that we don't know about.
So what do you think happens with the card? Do you think they're buyers at the deadline?
It's hard to tell because they're kind of in that in-between window. But with, the second wild card spot and all, I think that they'll probably want to buy, because the last thing they want to do is give any indication to the fans that they're quitting.
Yep.
So they want to do whatever it takes. They just this past week had the $6 ticket sale. They want to do whatever it takes to show the fans, even if it's not a 100% effort, at least show a sign that, hey, we're still trying. We want to win. We think we still have a shot.
Right. Plus, I think, the ownership is probably taking a pretty big hit, with the pandemic, lost revenue, but it's all coming back. I mean, you've got the Ballpark Village, the new apartments are generating a ton of money. You've got, the rest of Ballpark Village is, staying busy, and the stadium's now at full capacity. So I think financially, the Cardinals are probably as well off as any franchise in baseball right now.
Not necessarily, though, because the Cardinals are more reliant than a lot of franchises, especially on the coast, of that actual revenue from game day, whether it be ticket sales, concession sales, and the like, whereas teams on the coast can get even more money from media rights and other advertising and sponsorship rights. So the Cardinals are more reliant on having those 3 million fans a year.
Which they're getting, though. They're still, I mean, they're getting that.
Not necessarily this year. I mean, if the attendance figures have been down.
Have they been down? I haven't really followed it.
Yeah, even with full capacity, there have been a lot of weeknight games where they've maybe only had 25,000 fans because you haven't had the advanced sale. You didn't have the luxury of, ticket packs on sale for the holidays.
Well, honestly, what we talked about last segment, I don't think people really want to go to the city. I think that's a real issue. Yeah. And you see in Chicago,
best seats in the houses in front of your TV.
Well, and the Bears threatening to leave the city and move out to Arlington Heights. I mean, really? You wonder in 15, 20 years if the city continues to deteriorate the way it is, like maybe the Cardinals move out to St. Charles or move over to the Metro East.
I think that would be a little extreme simply when you consider that would basically mean punting on Ballpark Village.
I agree. That's the one thing that they're kind of stuck where they are from a negotiating standpoint because they own that property. So if you move the Cardinals, you'd be be shooting yourself in the foot.
Let me add too, having been down there for almost every game this season, that the Phase 2 of Ballpark Village totally has changed the atmosphere around the ballpark, at least on game days. Even after weeknight games, it just doesn't feel as desolate and as scary walking to and from the car, especially an hour after the game.
I mean, right there it is, but if you go you walk a block or two any direction.
I wholeheartedly agree. I wouldn't want to be walking to Pine Street after a night game.
Right,
but before that, after a weeknight game, I'd be nervous just walking around outside the ballpark, whereas now you can at least, stay within a block or so of Ballpark Village and still feel at least pretty safe.
Well, so you guys know I'm a Cubs fan, and so I find it interesting to see what the Cubs are going to do because, I mean, they went into this season, I think, fully expecting a fire sale to sell off whoever they could come the deadline. They had a really great start. Now they've kind of fallen back. So, Solly, what do you think? The Cubs are going to be sellers at the deadline?
I don't know, but I think with the Cubs, you have enough guys on expiring contracts that if the next 2 weeks go poorly, if we're talking next week about a rough weekend series for your Cubs against the Cardinals at Wrigley that you've had this past weekend, then you might be looking at a Chris Bryant or a Craig Kimbrell, at the very least, as rentals, kind of like how the Cubs rented Aroldis Chapman even, where you at least try to get something. But again, they've put so much money into it that, like the Cardinals, they're just not going to do anything resembling the White Sox white flag trades of 1997.
Well, see, I think that's what they were planning to do before the season, and then they got rid of traded to the Padres.
Yu Darvish.
Yeah, Yu Darvish coming off a great year. They trade him. I mean, they kind of cobbled together a rotation and a bullpen that just turned out to be incredible at the beginning of the season. And now, it's they're kind of starting to play to their expectations at the beginning of the season. But I feel like the Cubs ownership was not expecting to compete this year. They've made a decision. We're not going to re-sign Bryant. I don't know what's going to happen with Rizzo and Baez, but I mean, if you lose those three guys, what are you left with? I mean, you've pretty much lost your entire nucleus from the 2016 World Series, and so I mean, I guess you go back into rebuild mode like they did in 2011, 2012. But I mean, I don't think the fans up there deserve that. I feel like Cubs fans come out, they spend money, and they deserve to see a winner. And I have a real problem with the way that the ownership of the Cubs has treated the fans and not spent the money that I think.
Well, let's all put it in perspective, though. Last I checked, during the whole Wrigley ownership, you didn't get one World Series. During the whole Tribune Company ownership, you didn't get one World Series title. So I would say the Hendricks family owning the Cubs has done an absolute ton. And fans should be spoiled and remember where they came from. It's like the Blues. We sometimes get frustrated over, is Tarasenko coming back? Is Berube the right coach? But then you have to remember, wait a minute. This franchise won the Cup for the first time in 50 years or more. So sometimes it's easy to just forget how hard it is to truly be a contender and truly be in the position to win a title year in and year out.
Yeah, no, I hear it. And I'll tell you where you should go if you head downtown for a ball game. Rosalita's is a great option pregame or postgame. Rosalita's downtown.
Especially that Sunday brunch before a Sunday game.
Absolutely. For all your Tex-Mex cravings, check out Rosalita's downtown. Also, Rosalita's Tex-Mex, Rosalita's Cantina out on Manchester in De Pere. near my office, STL Taxlers HQ. Yes, Matt, is your mic on?
Is this thing on?
Yeah. It's the Mark Milton and Solly Show with Smash. How we doing, Smash?
I am just wanting to say salute to Tampa Bay. Last Wednesday, they won the Stanley Cup 2 years in a row, man. That's pretty impressive. And in fact, one of the guys on the team said, hey, Tom Brady, try to toss this across one boat to another because it's a way heavier trophy than is the Lombardi Trophy.
Well, in St. Louis' own Pat Maroon with his third straight.
So proud
Stanley
of
Cup.
him.
It's incredible.
Well, they jacked him around here, man. After they got the championship, the Stanley Cup, they sent him off.
Well, I don't think it was sending him off as much as he got a pretty good deal. Dave, correct me if I'm wrong. I mean, he got a pretty good contract from Tampa Bay, and the Blues just weren't going to spend that kind of money. I agree. I wish they would have kept him.
Actually, I don't think it was ever going to be a fit for Pat Maroon to come back here because Pat Maroon has not made much money in Tampa whatsoever. In fact, he's averaged $900,000 a year over the last 2 seasons.
So why didn't they bring him back? Because I feel like the Blues could have used that kind of gritty,
They could have used it, but right up against the cap. Plus, there was a lot of sentiment, too, that, hometown guy, he was kind of the hero of the town. There would have been a lot of distractions if he came back here. It would have been very easy to rest on his laurels and get caught up in all the hype and the attention. So by moving on to Tampa Bay and getting a fresh start, it maintained his legacy here as being a playoff hero, and all fans will have here are great memories of the Big Rig.
That's true, and I think people often overstate, like, somebody necessarily wanting to play in their hometown. I think playing in your hometown would present a lot of off the field, off the court
expectations,
stresses, and just dealing with stuff that you otherwise wouldn't want to deal with. And so I think people like with David Freese is a good example. I feel like him playing for the Cardinals created a lot of, I think, angst, stress that ultimately led to some of his off the field stuff. And I think it can be very difficult to ever meet the expectations, and also to just live your own life. I think you're constantly, there's a lot of noise that comes with playing in your hometown.
Exactly, and that's why Freese moved to Austin, Texas, and Pat Maroon, by the way, still under contract for next season because going into this past season, he signed a 2-year deal.
And Luke Voigt's another example. He goes to the Yankees and he kills it. I mean, St. Louis kid who goes to a huge market where you think, he might be shell-shocked from a New York Big Apple, but he's done very well there. All right, you're listening to the Mark Milton Show with the Smash and Solly here on 590 and 590thefan.com. You can check us out every week at 10 a.m. on Sundays, 6 a.m. replay on Mondays, and anytime at 590thefan.com. You can download the podcast, and we're also available on Apple iTunes. We appreciate you listening, and we will hopefully see you next week.